I haven't done a video in a really long time. I'm really behind. And I'm going to show you the reality of a part-time, weekend, backyard type gardener. It's the reality of it. And of intermingling, doing permaculture, not really restricting too many things, trying to let everything be natural. Alright, so here we go. You ready? This is my onion already flowering, which I'm going to let go to seed, and I'm going to let it fill up this bed with seeds so that I don't have to plant bulbs anymore. So like the rest of the United States, or a lot of the country, I do believe, we all went through some terrible wind in the month of April. It was bad. Really, really bad. So everything got late. The intense heat that we had made everything bolt. I actually had these in on time, cold season, and they didn't grow very well. They did horrible, and they're no good. I'm taking them off and giving them to the chickens. That was broccoli and cauliflower. I have very few peppers in here. My peppers did not do very well for me doing seeds on my own yet again. But I think I know what I'm doing wrong, and I'll test that next year. And if it doesn't work next year, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I got onions in everywhere. Garlic, but my garlic did not come up. I have cabbage coming in. Those are at least doing fairly well, other than the white moths coming in and eating them. I go in individually and check them out and pick out the white moths or the caterpillars in them. This is the exciting part. Here is my garlic. These were all the little seeds that came off the bulbous last year, and these were left in the garden over winter and created their own garlic and matured very nicely. These were the ones that I planted at the beginning of spring, and yeah, this is where they're at. You know, the internet and people doing things in a certain way and not a natural way, it doesn't always work. This works. It works, but I have to wait a whole nother year, so kind of bummed about that. But it's a learning curve, a learning experience. Trying celery for the first time this year. Not sure how that will work. More of my peppers. My chickens keep on getting in my garden, and I'm not going to lie, I really want to kill them. They are destroying the little peppers that I have here, and it does irritate me. Over here are my new beds that I very specifically put garlic and onions in. Garlic was on this back side, onions on this front side. As you can see, there are no garlic. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they were a bad batch. I don't know if it's because of the wind, but no garlic came up. But I do have onions, so that is nice. In the past, you have seen sunflowers here, potatoes here, and I was going to do millet here, but I did not get to the millet. This is now a volunteer potato and weed area for the chickens. I pull these weeds and I feed them to the chickens. They love them. My grass to be able to cover my plants, which I have to do again because the chickens tossed it. Doing a lot better. This is a hard task. I get the clippings from the mowed lawn here, and each week I toss them and move them over so that they dry out, so I don't have that yucky, mucky mess down there in all of it. So in the middle of here, there is probably still some hot spots, but for the most part, it's nice and dry, and what I can put on over here. This looks like a mess. Weekend backyard part-time gardener. I'm sorry, it doesn't always look nice and neat, and it takes a lot of hard work. My volunteer potatoes. These were from potatoes that I planted last year and left over, so hopefully they should be even more hardy resistant. I have them popping up all over the place, so that's pretty nice. Lots of weeds to be able to feed the chickens, because I'm trying to keep them out of my garden. Doesn't always work. They still get back here. All right, move on this way. I've extended the garden. This is also the reason why I haven't done as much. This expansion has taken a lot of time. Cattle panels for viney fruits and vegetables that are supposed to go up and over it. Up and over it, and do a shading for these cool crops. Yeah, really late, really behind. So we'll see how far these get, how much they grow. As you can see, the heat here, it's really done its number on my cold crops. The chickens have eaten my lettuce, so those should continue to come back because they're eating them. Kale, beets, more spinach that has already went to bolt, a Chinese spinach, some other lettuce. Beans, black beans. Whole rows here. Corn. This took the longest because I did rows. I dug out the rows so that I could fill them up with water. This is the goal, or the plan is to have this corn for the chickens, to grind it down so I don't have to buy my own corn. White beans or red beans? White beans or red beans? More corn. Lots and lots of corn. It looks neat, but believe me, it took a lot of effort to do this. I just filled the rows with the grass. All that grass, it's still high, but I still have more grass that I need to be able to cover this all. This is a new area for pumpkins, squashes, watermelon, zucchinis. Yes, all very, very late. So we'll see. The stakes for the zucchini. I liked how the zucchini functioned with the stakes. I thought that was very, very nice. Sunflowers for the chickens. These are black oil sunflowers that are for chickens and birds. They really like them. They have a lot of nutrients in them. So these will will be for the chickens. Yes, it's going to take a lot of work. Here is my new patch for peppers. Very excited, but also at the same time discouraged just because everything is so late. And not to mention that my seeds, gosh darn it. All right, he's done. My seedlings did not do very well, but I'm gonna try one more time next year. All right, so I did my onions here because onions help repel the pests for peppers. So I wanted to make sure I had those here. So I've got my onions, and then this whole entire block, a lot more spacious. I don't have to crowd them so close together. I can separate out my spicy and my not so spicy. Not that I have many of those. Further apart. Some of them died, my seedlings, they did. I had to go buy others, which is the bigger ones that you see here. The really small ones, if you can see them in here, those are mine. So and this year, I know last year I was going to save seeds, but this year I really am going to save seeds because they will definitely be tolerant to this weather. And more onions. I should have onions that will hopefully last me all through up to the summer, if not longer, but we'll see. We'll see how that works. But yeah. All right. Next new part. New chickens. The chickens we have are only 3 years old, but they are already depleting in eggs. So we now have a new set of chickens. It's a very hot day for them. I was attempting to have foliage for them. Yeah, it didn't quite work out very well, but they sure did get the greens from the start of it, and that has a lot of nutrition in it. We have them outside now. There's 24 of them. A lot. Backyard working brooding house. I know you probably can create more elaborate ones, but I think I did pretty well. I'd show you the inside, but it doesn't look as good as when I first put it back together again. Our old chickens. They're doing well. All right, check it out right here. You see that bucket? And you see those chickens scratching right underneath there? This is a new venture right here. It's called a maggot bucket. All right, so if you're squeamish, you can skip over this part. Let's see, can you see? Look at all the maggots. The chickens will eat them. They're actually trying to find their way out now because they want to move on with their stage, their stage to become flies, and they're trying to find their way out. And when they do, the chickens eat them. Hold on for a moment, or let's see if I can set this somewhere where maybe you can see all those maggots there. They're trying to find their way out, and I want to make sure that the chickens eat them. All right, I don't think I have a spot to set this, so I'm going to pause it for the moment. All right, can't help it. Got to show you. How cool is that? Look at all of them. And this is just protein. Protein for the chickens. And they love it. It's what they need. So in this bucket goes like I have chicken carcasses in there, and fish entrails and a fish head in there, and there's grass on top. The chickens absolutely, I mean, it's no different than feeding them mealworm. It's no different from them eating bugs, other little bugs. These are just actual live maggots full of protein at their highest point of stage, for the chickens to eat their full and fill of protein. So this, when you get close, this does give off an odor. Of course it's going to, but it actually doesn't give off too bad of an odor. It really doesn't. I also put lettuce, like vegetable scraps in there. Like the lettuce, it was so bitter because of the heat that we've had, and I don't have any coolness, shading for it. So they're really bitter, and we weren't eating them fast enough. So I put that in there. They eat that too. So they eat all those things. I put grass on top of it to help with what the maggots are doing, and help with that carbon dioxide that gives off, and keep that down. So I know you're probably gonna be like, oh my goodness, this is what's in my eggs. Well, they're in my eggs, but again, it's all just protein. That's all it is. It's just a protein, a good protein for them that gives their bodies everything, what they need to be sustaining and to give off really good eggs. Calcium in there too. All right, next new part. This is going to be a new foraging area. I bought a foraging seed packet or a bag full of seeds that chickens love to graze on. This is what I had over in the brooding box, and the little chicks mowed it down. So right now I have this trying to grow up in here. It's doing very well. I've got to keep the chickens out of it, or they will eat all the big chicks. And the hope is that I can get this all to grow tall enough and go to seed, and then that's when the chickens can go through and graze on it. When they go to scratch at it and peck at it and get the seeds that they want from it, and then scratch around in it, then they replant those seeds, and then it's an ongoing process. At least that's the idea. So yes, that's the update on the garden. It's a lot of hard work, but it's satisfying, very satisfying.